I was pushed off a cliff by the man I loved only to wake up years earlier, right at the moment his downfall began. This time I won't save him. This time I'll make sure he loses everything. Revenge has never tasted so sweet. The sensation of falling consumed me, ripping through my consciousness like a jagged knife. The frigid air whipped past my face and the world spun violently around me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Then just as suddenly as it began, the descent stopped. A jolt of pain radiated through my body and I gasped, my eyes snapping open. My heart pounded erratically and my hands scrambled for something to grasp onto. I was lying on cold, uneven ground, the pungent scent of garbage flooding my senses. Where was I? How was I alive? I was supposed to be dead. I had fallen, or rather I had been pushed. Memories rushed in like a torrential flood. Ethan, my husband of 10 years, the man I loved more than anything, had looked at me with ice in his eyes before shoving me off the cliff. The last thing I saw before plummeting into the abyss was Ethan pressing a kiss to the photo of his first love, Emily Tang. My entire body shook. I sat up slowly, ignoring the stiffness in my limbs. Something wasn't right. I could hear muffled sounds, groaning, heavy footsteps, and the unmistakable sound of flesh hitting flesh. Dragging myself to my feet, I peered around the corner of the narrow alley. My heart stuttered. There, sprawled on the ground, was Ethan, surrounded by a group of muscular men kicking and punching him relentlessly. "Logan, don't think I don't know it's you just because you're not recognized," Ethan spat, blood dripping from his mouth. A tall man with cruel, narrow eyes stepped forward, wiping his knuckles. Logan, Ethan's illegitimate half-brother, forever disgraced and pushed out of the Pierce family. "A real man owns up to what he does," Ethan growled. Logan smirked. "Still not giving up, huh? You really won't shed tears until you see your own coffin. Today I'm going to end you." He bent down, picking up a short knife. The other men pulled out various blades, the metallic glint under the flickering streetlight sending a shiver down my spine. This wasn't right. This scene, it felt painfully familiar. As if I had lived it before. Then it hit me, this was the night Ethan had been ambushed and left for dead. The night that changed his life forever. But that was 10 years ago. How was I here? I was reborn. I had come back to the moment when Ethan was attacked by Logan's men. In my previous life I had rushed to his aid, shielding him with my own body. Logan's knife had found me instead, leaving me permanently disabled. My hands, which once trained at my father's martial arts school, became useless. My hearing was compromised. Yet I never blamed Ethan. I believed his lies, his gentle touches, and his seemingly unwavering care. I believed him when he whispered he loved me, that I was his salvation. But on our 10th wedding anniversary he carried me to the cliff's edge. I thought it was a romantic surprise. I was naive. He confessed that he had always hated me, believing I had manipulated him into marriage by saving his life. He blamed me for Emily's death, his first love who had perished in a plane crash on our wedding day. Then without hesitation he pushed me off the cliff. As I fell I saw him kiss the photo of Emily, his true love. The realization struck me like 1,000 blades. He had never loved me. I was just the burden he couldn't shake. Now here I was, witnessing the scene that had set everything in motion. My past self would have leaped into the fray, desperate to save the man I loved. But now, I had no intention of repeating the same mistake. My hands clenched into fists, but I didn't move. Instead, I pulled out my phone and calmly dialed 911, reporting a violent incident. I didn't mention names. I didn't interfere. I simply put on my headphones and walked away as Ethan's desperate cries for help faded into the distance. This time I wouldn't sacrifice my life for a man who would one day push me to my death. As I walked away, a cold resolve settled within me. I would not be Ethan's savior again. Instead, I would let him face the consequences of his own actions. I wouldn't interfere with fate, but I also wouldn't be his crutch. This life would be different. The next morning, news spread that Ethan Pierce, the young master of the Pierce family, had been found beaten and unconscious in an alley. His leg was shattered, his right eye injured beyond repair. Doctors said he might never walk properly again. At that moment I smiled. A smile devoid of warmth or regret. It was only the beginning. This time I would reclaim my life and Ethan would lose everything he held dear. He wanted to be with his first love? Let him see how fate would treat him without me to shield him from his enemies. My new life had just begun, and this time, I would make sure Ethan Pierce tasted the bitter truth. one painful step at a time. The morning light seeped through the dusty blinds of my small rented room. I sat cross-legged on the old mattress, the cool air brushing against my skin as I scrolled through the local news. Ethan Pierce, the proud young master of the Pierce family, had been hospitalized. The article described his injuries: severe trauma to his left leg likely resulting in permanent damage, and a stab wound to his right eye, rendering him partially blind. I took a deep breath, letting the bitter satisfaction wash over me. In my past life I had fought for him that night. I had shielded his body with mine, taking the brunt of the attack, and ended up crippled as a result. Back then his family praised me for saving their precious heir. They showered me with gratitude, investments in my father's martial arts school, and eventually, a marriage to Ethan himself. But gratitude had a dark edge. Ethan's care for me turned into silent resentment. While I remained disabled, he acted like the perfect husband, whispering sweet lies to lull me into complacency. Until that day at the cliff when the truth bared its fangs. Now I was determined to reclaim my life, to live without the shackles of love that had bound me to Ethan Pierce. I would not let his betrayal define me again. A knock at the door broke my thoughts. I moved cautiously, peering through the peephole. It was my father, looking older and wearier than I remembered. My chest tightened. In my previous life he had died in a car accident just a few months after I married Ethan. Guilt flooded me. If I hadn't been so blinded by love, maybe I could have prevented his death. Dad. I opened the door cautiously. Shuyu. He wrapped me in a tight embrace. You didn't come home last night. Your mother was worried sick. I needed some space, I mumbled. He pulled back, his dark eyes full of concern. Is it because of that Pierce boy? I heard what happened. I know you used to like him, but it's not worth ruining your future over his problems. I forced a smile, masking the turmoil inside. You're right, Dad. I just needed time to clear my head. Good. Come home. Your mom made your favorite porridge. As we walked back to the martial arts school, I couldn't help but notice a group of reporters clustered around the alley where Ethan had been attacked. They were discussing rumors. How could the mighty heir of the Pierce family be reduced to such a pitiful state? Some speculated it was a setup orchestrated to gain sympathy. At the school, my mother fussed over me, brushing my hair like I was still a child. It felt surreal. How long had it been since I felt the warmth of her touch? 10 years had passed since I lost them, and now they were here, alive and well. The tranquility shattered when one of my father's students rushed in. Master Wen, there's someone at the gate. It's Ethan Pierce and his people. My heart dropped. I didn't expect him to seek me out this quickly. My father's face darkened. What does he want with my daughter? I squeezed his hand. It's fine, Dad. Let me handle it. Outside, Ethan sat in a wheelchair, his leg bound in a thick cast, his right eye covered with gauze. Beside him was Emily Tang, her expression a mixture of concern and contempt. A few Pierce family guards stood behind them, their presence intimidating. Ethan's good eye focused on me, burning with rage. Shuyu, he snarled, his voice strained. Why didn't you help me? I feigned confusion. Help you? I don't understand. You walked past the alley. Emily snapped, her hand resting protectively on Ethan's shoulder. We have surveillance footage. You saw him getting attacked and you just left him to die. The guards murmured among themselves. I took a deep breath, steeling myself. I didn't see anything. If I had, I would have called for help immediately. Are you sure it was me? Ethan gestured to one of his men, who handed him a tablet. The screen played a grainy clip of me walking past the alley entrance. I paused briefly, then continued without looking back. My father, standing beside me, grunted. This proves nothing. My daughter would never abandon someone in danger. She must not have seen it. Emily scoffed. She's lying. She has always had a crush on Ethan. She must have seen it and did nothing out of spite. My blood simmered, but I kept my face neutral. Ethan, I said softly. I didn't see anything. If I did, I would have helped. Why would I ignore someone I once cared about? Ethan's jaw tightened. You're lying. You had your chance to save me, but you didn't. The frustration in his voice almost made me laugh. After everything I had sacrificed for him in my previous life, he dared to accuse me of betrayal. How ironic. I'm sorry, Ethan, I whispered, forcing a sad smile. But I didn't see you. I can't change what happened. Emily's glare intensified. You just want him to suffer. You've always been obsessed with him. Now that he's injured, you think you have a chance to replace me. I bit my lip, pretending to be hurt. Why would I want to replace you, Emily? I wish you both happiness. Ethan's hands tightened on the armrests of his wheelchair. He was fighting back his frustration, but I saw through him. Without the strength and prestige of his healthy body, he was just a man clinging to his pride. Leave, my father commanded, stepping between me and Ethan. My daughter doesn't owe you an explanation. Get off my property. Ethan opened his mouth to argue, but a coughing fit stopped him. Emily hurried to comfort him, shooting me one last glare. This isn't over, she hissed. I watched as they retreated, a dark satisfaction blooming within me. For once I didn't rush to save him. For once I wasn't the one left bleeding. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay on my old bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind replaying the encounter. The Ethan I knew was a man of immense pride. This injury would crush him. His family's expectations, his own sense of superiority, all shattered. Good. Let him drown in it. The realization hit me, I couldn't just walk away from him completely. I needed to stay close, not as his savior but as a silent observer. I would watch as his life crumbled, as his illusions of love and loyalty fell apart. The new Ethan was ruthless, just like the one who had pushed me off the cliff. If he suspected me, he would come for me. I needed to stay one step ahead. As dawn broke, I made my decision. I would stay in this city and reclaim my life. I wouldn't run from Ethan or his twisted love anymore. This time I would be the one writing the story of his downfall and my rise from the ashes. And so the game began. The days that followed were marked by an eerie quietness. Ethan remained at the Pierce estate, licking his wounds and plotting his next move. I, on the other hand, resumed my training at my father's martial arts school. My body felt stronger than it had in years, and each kick and punch revitalized my spirit. But my mind was far from peaceful. My past life's memories kept resurfacing, reminding me of the years I spent as Ethan's crippled wife, a living symbol of his resentment. Now I had the chance to live differently, to fight back. And I wasn't about to let that opportunity slip through my fingers. One evening, as I was practicing forms in the courtyard, my father approached me with a serious expression. Shiyu, we need to talk. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and followed him to his office. He gestured for me to sit. I've been thinking, he began, his voice low and careful. The Pierce family, they're powerful. I'm worried they might cause trouble for you. Ethan seems convinced that you betrayed him. I forced a weak smile. I didn't do anything, Dad. He's just looking for someone to blame. He nodded but didn't seem convinced. Your mother and I have been discussing something. Maybe it's time we expand the school to another city. You could take charge there, start fresh. A pang of guilt hit me. They wanted to protect me just like before. In my past life they had uprooted their lives to support me after my injuries. But now I didn't want to run away. I wanted to stand my ground and fight. Dad, I appreciate it, I said gently. But I want to stay. I can handle this. His eyes softened. You've grown stronger, Shiyu. Just be careful. I nodded, my mind already working through possibilities. The first thing I needed to do was dismantle Ethan's support system. The Pierce family thrived on reputation, business connections, and fear. I would hit them where it hurt the most, by undermining their influence. The next day, I visited an old acquaintance, Mr. Liu, a businessman who had once sought a partnership with the Pierce family but was ruthlessly ousted when his son accidentally injured Ethan during a social event. Ethan had made sure the Liu family lost their biggest contracts, pushing them to the brink of bankruptcy. Mr. Liu's small office smelled of incense, and his once bustling business was now reduced to just a few employees. When he saw me, his face lit up with cautious hope. Shiyu, I haven't seen you in years. How have you been? I gave him a polite bow. Mr. Liu, I need your help. And I believe we can help each other. He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Go on. I leaned forward, lowering my voice. The Pierce family is weakened. Ethan's injury has thrown their business operations into chaos. If we strike now, we can reclaim what they took from you. He looked skeptical. How do you plan on doing that? They still have connections, money, and influence. I smiled. Ethan's desperate to rebuild his image. He's still holding on to power through his fiancée, Emily Tang, who is trying to keep the business afloat. If we expose their internal conflict to the media and link it to Pierce's unethical practices, investors will back out. Mr. Liu stroked his beard thoughtfully. And how do we get proof? I have contacts within the Pierce estate, servants who owe me favors from the past. If we get inside information and record a few key conversations, it will be enough to shake the foundation of their business relationships. He chuckled darkly. You're more cunning than I remembered. Consider me in. I've waited years for this opportunity. That night, I dressed in simple, inconspicuous clothes and made my way to the Pierce estate. One of the servants I used to befriend, a timid maid named May, agreed to meet me near the garden gate. When she saw me, her eyes widened. Miss Shuyu, you shouldn't be here. I placed a hand on her shoulder. May, I just need a little help. I know things aren't good in there. Ethan must be in a terrible state. Her eyes darted around nervously. It's worse than you think. The young master is furious, blaming everyone for what happened. Miss Emily is the only one who can calm him down, but even she's been losing her patience. I nodded. May, I need you to do something for me. If you hear Ethan or Emily discussing business matters or threats, record it. Just a few voice clips. It's important. She hesitated, biting her lip. If they find out. They won't. I promise. I'll make sure you're protected. You've always been kind to me, May. Just this once, help me. Finally she nodded. I'll do it. But please be careful. They're watching everyone. A week later, May sent me a series of voice recordings. Ethan's voice, full of venom and desperation, filled the room as I played them back. If that bastard Logan thinks he can just walk away, I'll ruin him. I don't care if he's my brother. He's nothing but a parasite. Emily's voice followed, colder than I remembered. You're too weak now, Ethan. Investors are already questioning your ability to lead. You need to show strength, not anger. Ethan scoffed. If they doubt me, they can rot. The Pierce name is enough to keep them loyal. Just push the deal through and secure the funding. I don't care how you do it. It was enough. The media would eat this up. Pierce Enterprises' internal conflicts and leadership issues. With Mr. Liu's help, I leaked the audio to a few gossip blogs notorious for business scandals. The next morning, the internet was ablaze. News outlets picked up the story. Pierce heirs' ruthless power struggle with half-brother. Business empire on the brink of collapse. Investors panicked and stocks plummeted. That evening, as I trained in the courtyard, a car screeched to a halt outside the school. Ethan was there, dragged out by two guards, his body frail, his face contorted with fury. I see you, he roared. What did you do? I calmly set down the training sword and walked toward him. What are you talking about? You destroyed my reputation. Those recordings, where did you get them? I tilted my head innocently. What recordings? His hands shook and for a moment I almost pitied him. Almost. Emily appeared behind him, looking exhausted and defeated. Ethan, calm down. We need to contain the damage. Screaming at her won't help. Ethan turned on her, his voice venomous. You said you would handle everything. Now look at what's happened. I watched as the cracks in their alliance deepened, knowing that this was just the beginning. Ethan's world was crumbling and he had no idea that I was the one pulling the strings. I smiled as I walked past them. Be careful, Ethan. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who bring you down. As I disappeared into the school, I heard him scream again. A broken, desperate sound. And for the first time in years I felt powerful. The morning air was thick with anticipation as news outlets continued to report the downfall of the Pierce family empire. Ethan's desperate attempts to salvage his reputation only made matters worse. Investors were pulling out and whispers of internal betrayal spread like wildfire. I couldn't help but feel a grim satisfaction as I watched the world turn on Ethan. His carefully crafted image of power and control was shattering, and he was too wounded and prideful to see that he was the architect of his own ruin. As I swept the courtyard after training, a familiar face appeared at the entrance. Logan Pierce. He was leaning against the gate, his posture relaxed but his eyes calculating. I didn't flinch, continuing my work without acknowledging him. Quite the commotion you've stirred up, he drawled. I looked up, meeting his gaze. If you're here to threaten me, get in line. Logan chuckled, stepping closer. I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to meet the person who managed to bring Ethan to his knees without lifting a finger. Impressive. I set the broom aside and crossed my arms. What do you want, Logan? He took a slow, deliberate breath. Ethan's blaming me for the leaks. His people are digging into my business trying to find something to pin on me. It's a mess. I raised an eyebrow. And why do you think I care? Logan's expression darkened. You should. Because you're on his list too. Ethan's convinced that you're colluding with me. Should be careful. His obsession with you isn't just about betrayal. It's personal. My jaw tightened. That's not news to me. Logan eyed me curiously. You're different from the woman I remember. Back then you were always trailing behind him like a loyal dog. Now you're pulling the strings. What changed? I met his gaze without hesitation. I woke up. A smirk tugged at his lips. Fair enough. Just remember, if you're going to keep this up, make sure you hit where it hurts. Ethan's weakness has always been his ego. Crush that and he'll self-destruct. Before I could respond, Logan turned and walked away, leaving me to ponder his words. I couldn't tell if he was warning me or trying to recruit me. Either way, I wasn't about to trust him. That evening, I received a message from May, the maid who had been helping me. Ethan's planning something. I overheard him talking to his lawyer about a lawsuit. Be careful. I frowned, tapping my fingers against the table. Of course, Ethan wouldn't take his downfall lying down. He would look for a scapegoat, and if he couldn't pin it on Logan, he'd come for me. I needed a new strategy. One that would force Ethan to focus on his own problems rather than hunting me down. I knew that his most vulnerable spot wasn't his physical injuries or his fractured business. It was his pride. I crafted a letter, forged in Ethan's handwriting, and sent it to a few key business associates. The contents were vague but implied that Ethan was planning to dissolve Pierce Enterprises due to his health issues. The letter also subtly suggested that his half-brother Logan would take over the family business. The reaction was immediate. Investors panicked, selling off shares before the company's value could plummet further. Logan's name trended online as a potential successor, and rumors spread that Ethan was stepping down. By evening, Ethan had released a public statement denying the rumors, but the damage was done. People were questioning his ability to manage the business, and Logan's name kept popping up in discussions as a more capable leader. 2 days later, May sent me another message. Ethan is losing it. He smashed a vase and yelled at Emily. She left the house crying. I couldn't help but smile. Ethan's pride was his Achilles heel. Losing control in front of his subordinates and Emily would only make him look weaker. Later that night, while I was locking up the school, Emily appeared at the gate. Her face was blotchy, her eyes red from crying. "Shiyu," she whispered. "Can we talk?" I considered turning her away, but curiosity won out. I opened the gate and she followed me into the courtyard. She looked around nervously as if afraid of being seen. I don't know what to do anymore. Ethan's become unrecognizable. He's paranoid, angry all the time. He even accused me of conspiring with Logan. I feigned sympathy. That must be hard for you. Emily wiped her tears. It's not just that. Ethan's talking about forcing the board to declare Logan incompetent. He's planning to use his injury as proof that Logan is dangerous. He wants to cut him out of the will entirely. I bit my tongue to keep from smiling. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't know what to do, she confessed. I love Ethan, but he's spiraling. I thought you might know how to help him. I tilted my head. Maybe he just needs to feel secure again. You should encourage him to make a public appearance, show everyone that he's still strong. Emily nodded slowly. You think that will help? It's worth a try, I lied. After she left, I knew exactly what to do. Ethan's public appearance would be the perfect opportunity for his enemies to strike. I would make sure that Logan knew about it. A few days later, news broke that Ethan would make a public appearance at a charity gala to prove his health and competence. I knew Logan would attend, and I made sure to subtly encourage Emily to dress Ethan in a way that would emphasize his injuries. When the night arrived, I watched the live broadcast from my phone. Ethan entered the grand hall, dressed in a sleek suit, but his wheelchair and bandaged eye couldn't be hidden. The audience murmured, their expressions uncertain. Logan entered shortly after, confident and composed, drawing more attention than his brother. As expected, whispers began to spread. Who looked more capable of leading the Pierce family now? The reporters zeroed in on Ethan, bombarding him with questions. His patience snapped when one of them asked if Logan would be taking over soon. Ethan slammed his fist on the table, shouting, "Logan will never take my place. I'm the head of the Pierce family." The room fell silent. Logan smirked, leaning casually against a pillar. "Brother, maybe you should calm down. You're making a scene." Ethan's face flushed with rage. "Shut up. You're just a bastard trying to steal what's mine." The cameras caught every word, and I knew this outburst would be replayed countless times. Ethan's loss of composure in public sealed his fate. Investors would see a man who was not only physically broken but mentally unstable. Logan gave a mocking bow. "I'm just here to support my family. You should be more grateful, Ethan." The audience, including influential businessmen, murmured in agreement. Ethan realized his mistake too late. As he was wheeled out, his shoulders slumped, defeated. That night I sat by my window sipping tea as the news played on TV. Ethan Pierce, once the pride of the family, had become a laughingstock. Public sympathy shifted toward Logan, who played the supportive brother while subtly planting doubts about Ethan's capability. I leaned back, savoring the quiet triumph. The first strike had hit harder than I expected. Ethan had destroyed his own image without me lifting a finger. But I knew better than to be complacent. Ethan was cornered, and that made him more dangerous than ever. The real fight was just beginning, and I would be ready. The aftermath of the charity gala was more chaotic than I anticipated. Ethan's public meltdown became the talk of the city. News outlets replayed his outburst, analyzing every detail. Pundits speculated about the future of Pierce Enterprises, and whispers of incompetence and insanity rippled through the business community. But I knew Ethan wasn't the type to give up. Humiliation would only fuel his desire for revenge, and I needed to be prepared for his retaliation. A few days after the gala, I was in the middle of teaching a class at the martial arts school when my phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen, an unknown number. I ignored it, but the phone rang again, persistent. Finally, I excused myself and stepped outside. "Hello." A familiar voice rasped on the other end. "Shiyu, it's Ethan." My grip tightened around the phone. "What do you want?" There was a strained silence. "We need to talk. Please, meet me." I hesitated. Meeting Ethan alone could be dangerous, but curiosity gnawed at me. "Where?" He gave me the address of a small park near the outskirts of the city. I agreed, but my instincts screamed caution. Before leaving, I texted May, asking her to monitor any unusual movements from the Pierce estate. The park was almost deserted when I arrived. Ethan was waiting on a bench near the pond, his wheelchair positioned to face the water. He looked thinner, his once vibrant presence reduced to a hollow shell. I approached cautiously. "What's this about, Ethan?" He didn't look at me. "They're turning on me, Shiyu. The board, the investors, even Emily. They're losing faith." I folded my arms. "You brought it on yourself." He wheeled around to face me, his single good eye blazing. "You did this. You and Logan. You're conspiring to take everything from me." A bitter laugh escaped me. "You really think I'm working with Logan? You're more paranoid than I thought." His hands gripped the wheelchair's arms tightly. "I know you hate me for what happened in the past, for choosing Emily. But why are you trying to destroy me now?" My chest tightened, old wounds threatening to resurface. I forced myself to remain cold. "You really don't get it, do you? You're losing because of your own actions. I didn't force you to humiliate yourself at the gala or to accuse your brother in public. You did that all on your own." He gritted his teeth. "Then why did you walk away that night in the alley? Why didn't you help me?" I took a step closer, lowering my voice. "Because I finally realized you're not worth saving." His face fell, and for a moment I saw a flicker of vulnerability. But I knew better than to believe it. Ethan was a master of manipulation, and I wasn't going to fall for his pitiful act. "I just wanted you to love me," he whispered. "But you never did. You just used me to gain power." I felt a surge of anger. "Me? You're the one who pushed me off a cliff because you thought I trapped you in marriage." I did not say it out loud. Before he could speak, I cut him off. "You know what the worst part is? I loved you. Even when you were cruel, even when you humiliated me, I loved you. But you never saw it. You never cared. All you saw was Emily." He reached out as if to touch my hand, but I pulled away. "Stay away from me, Ethan. You made your choice when you pushed me to my death. Now live with the consequences." His voice cracked. "Phew. I never wanted you to die. I was just angry. I thought you ruined my life. I shook my head. You ruined your own life. And now I'm just making sure you understand what it feels like to lose everything. That evening I received a message from May. Emily and Logan are having a heated argument at the estate. It's about Ethan. Curiosity piqued, I instructed May to record it if possible. An hour later she sent me the audio. Emily's voice was sharp and angry. Logan, I can't keep doing this. Ethan's losing his mind. He's dragging me down with him. People are starting to doubt my loyalty. I can't afford to lose everything because of him. Logan's tone was cold. You're the one who insisted on staying by his side. If you want to jump ship now, go ahead. But don't expect me to clean up your mess. Emily scoffed. You're just waiting for him to destroy himself so you can take over. Don't pretend you care. Logan didn't respond and the recording ended abruptly. I couldn't help but smirk. Cracks were forming between Ethan's most trusted allies. That night I drafted an anonymous tip to the press, suggesting that there was infighting among the Pierce siblings, hinting that Emily might be switching sides to secure her own future. The tabloids picked it up within hours and the speculation grew wilder by the minute. As expected, Emily released a statement denying the rumors, but the damage was done. Logan kept his distance, refusing to speak to the media, while Ethan remained secluded at the estate. 3 days later I got an unexpected message from May. Something's wrong. Emily's gone and Ethan is in a rage. He's accusing Logan of kidnapping her. My heart pounded. Kidnapping? I couldn't imagine Logan doing something so reckless. I needed to find out more, but before I could dig deeper, I received a message from an unknown number. Meet me at the old warehouse near the docks. Midnight. Come alone. I felt a chill run down my spine. I didn't recognize the number, but the timing was too coincidental. Was it a trap? Most likely. But I couldn't ignore it. If Emily was in danger, I needed to know. As I approached the warehouse, the air felt thick with danger. I could see dim lights flickering inside. I crept closer, hiding behind a stack of old crates. Inside I could hear muffled voices, Logan's and Emily's. I strained to listen. Not part of the plan, Logan hissed. Emily's voice was shaky. You said you'd help me get rid of Ethan. Now he's lost it and I'm stuck. You need to do something. Logan's tone turned menacing. You wanted him destroyed. You pushed him too far. Now deal with it. A loud bang made me jump. A door slamming. Logan's footsteps faded, but Emily remained inside, sobbing softly. My mind raced. Emily had been manipulating both brothers. She wanted to get rid of Ethan without getting her hands dirty, and Logan had reluctantly played along. Now that Ethan was spiraling, Emily was stuck in the mess she had created. I slipped away into the night, my mind spinning with new information. Ethan was more isolated than ever, and Emily's schemes had backfired. Logan was distancing himself, leaving Emily to deal with the fallout. But I knew one thing for certain. Whatever was about to happen next, I needed to be ready. The pieces were moving and the game was reaching its climax. I couldn't afford to make a single misstep. The air was tense the next morning as I went through my training routine. My mind kept replaying the conversation I overheard at the warehouse. Emily plotting against Ethan and Logan distancing himself from the fallout. It was clear now that Emily's ambitions ran deeper than I had thought. She wasn't just a victim of Ethan's rage. She was a key player in the game. I needed to move carefully. Ethan's world was crumbling and the Pierce family's empire was teetering on the edge. But the final blow hadn't landed yet. That afternoon I decided to pay a visit to Mr. Liu, my business ally. His small office smelled faintly of old paper and incense. He was on a call when I arrived, his voice low and cautious. He hung up and gestured for me to sit. Shiu, things are getting interesting. The investors are pulling out faster than expected. Ethan's trying to launch a new project to stabilize the company, but no one's biting. I raised an eyebrow. A new project? What's the angle? Liu leaned forward, whispering as if the walls had ears. Ethan's trying to buy out smaller firms to consolidate his power. He thinks it will prove he's still in control. But his funding is limited and without Logan's support it's a risky move. I smirked. Ethan was desperate and desperation made people reckless. If he fails, it will be the final nail in his coffin. Liu nodded. And if Logan makes a public statement distancing himself from Ethan, The investors will pull out completely. A plan formed in my mind. Can you arrange for Logan to be interviewed by one of your media contacts? Make it look like he's taking the high road, expressing concern for his brother while subtly criticizing his leadership. Lou chuckled. Clever. That will isolate Ethan completely. The next day the interview aired. Logan appeared calm and composed, wearing a modest suit that made him seem approachable. He spoke carefully, hinting at his worry for Ethan's mental state while emphasizing the need for stability in the company. We all care deeply for Ethan's well-being, Logan said with a subtle smirk. But the recent decisions being made are impulsive. I believe in the Pierce family legacy, but it must be guided responsibly. The media latched onto his words. Overnight, headlines painted Logan as the rational, capable brother, while Ethan was portrayed as the volatile heir. Investors who had hesitated before now openly voiced their distrust in Ethan's leadership. That evening May called me, her voice trembling. Miss Shiyu, something terrible happened. Ethan attacked Logan. My heart pounded. What do you mean? He barged into Logan's office with a knife, screaming that Logan was trying to steal everything from him. The guards restrained him, but it's all over the news now. People are saying Ethan's gone completely mad. I rushed to the nearest TV. A news anchor was reporting live from the scene. Earlier today, Ethan Pierce, heir to Pierce Enterprises, was forcibly removed from his half-brother's office after an alleged violent outburst. Witnesses claim that Ethan accused Logan of plotting against him. Police were called, but no charges have been filed yet. However, the incident raises serious questions about Ethan's mental stability. I couldn't help the grim satisfaction curling in my chest. Ethan had played right into the trap. His public outburst not only destroyed his credibility but also solidified Logan's position as the more competent sibling. The next morning, Emily showed up at the martial arts school. Her hair was disheveled and her eyes were swollen from crying. I didn't bother hiding my annoyance. What are you doing here? I demanded. She didn't answer immediately, just sank onto a bench, her shoulders slumping. He's gone. They took him to a private clinic for psychological evaluation. The board decided to temporarily remove him from his position. I hid my surprise. And you're here because? She looked at me, her eyes hollow. Ethan thinks I betrayed him. He accused me of being Logan's spy. He's completely lost his mind. I folded my arms. Did you? Her lips trembled. I didn't mean to. I just wanted him to be more careful. I didn't know Logan would use it against him like this. Spare me your guilt, Emily. You wanted power just like Logan. Now you're just upset that the plan backfired. She glared at me, anger flashing through her exhaustion. You think you're so righteous? You've been manipulating things from the shadows. You always acted like a saint, but you're just as twisted as the rest of us. I didn't deny it. Maybe. But I'm not the one who betrayed the man I claimed to love. You pushed Ethan to the edge. Now you're afraid of what he's become. She bit her lip, her hands trembling. Logan told me to keep Ethan calm, to make sure he didn't do anything drastic. But Ethan kept talking about killing Logan, about taking back what was his. I couldn't control him anymore. I softened my tone just slightly. Emily, you can't control someone who's already broken. You played your part in his downfall. Now live with it. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. I didn't pity her. She had chosen this path and now she was facing the consequences. As Emily left, I received a text from Logan. Ethan escaped the clinic. No one knows where he is. A chill ran down my spine. Ethan, broken and desperate, was far more dangerous now than when he had power. He would come for the people he blamed, Logan, Emily, and me. That night, I stayed at the school, practicing late into the evening. My instincts told me Ethan would come for me eventually. I needed to be prepared. Around midnight, I heard the faint crunch of gravel outside. My heart pounded as I glanced out the window. Ethan was there, hobbling on crutches, his face gaunt, eyes wild. I slipped out the back, moving silently toward the training yard. Ethan stumbled into the courtyard, breathing hard. When he spotted me, his face twisted with hatred. You ruined everything, he shouted. I didn't flinch. You did that yourself. He dragged himself forward, his hands shaking. I loved you once, Shiyu. I would have given you everything. But you betrayed me. I stared at him, my expression cold. You never loved me. You loved your pride. You loved the idea of being the victim. I just gave you a taste of your own medicine." He screamed, lunging at me with one of his crutches, but his movements were sloppy, uncoordinated. I sidestepped, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind his back. "Stop it, Ethan. You're pathetic." He slumped to the ground, defeated. I knelt beside him, my voice low and sharp. "You had a chance to be happy. You chose jealousy and hatred. Now look at you, broken, abandoned, and lost." Tears streamed down his face and he whispered, "I didn't want to hate you. I just wanted to be free." I stood up, looking down at him one last time. "You're free now, Ethan. Free to face the consequences of your choices. I'm done being your scapegoat." I called the police and reported a trespasser. As they took him away, I felt a sense of finality wash over me. Ethan Pierce had fallen not because of me or Logan but because of his own flaws. And as the night deepened, I knew one thing for sure: the game wasn't over yet. Not until the entire Pierce empire crumbled to dust. Ethan's arrest made headlines the next morning. The media painted a grim picture. A once powerful heir, now broken, deranged, and violent, being escorted in handcuffs from a martial arts school. Logan, ever the strategist, released a statement expressing concern for his brother's mental health and urging the public to respect the family's privacy. The sympathy that once surrounded Ethan evaporated. Investors saw him as a liability, and Logan, with his calm and rational demeanor, was heralded as the future of the Pierce family business. But I knew better. Logan wasn't innocent in this downfall. He had manipulated the situation just as much as I had, albeit from a safer distance. I couldn't let him take over everything while Ethan bore the brunt of the blame. If I wanted to destroy the entire Pierce legacy, I needed to expose Logan as well. That afternoon, while I was reviewing some documents at the school, May rushed in, her face pale. "Miss Shuyu, you need to see this." She handed me her phone and my heart dropped. It was a video of Logan and Emily, recorded in a dimly lit room. Logan's voice was calm but cold. "You did well, Emily. Ethan's completely broken now. With him out of the way, the board will support me." Emily's voice trembled. "You promised me security if I helped you ruin him. Now that Ethan's gone, you won't leave me, right?" Logan's chuckle was dark. "Don't be naive. Your usefulness has ended. Go back to your socialite life. The Pierce family doesn't need you anymore." The video cut off abruptly. My mind raced. Who recorded this? Why was it sent to me? Before I could process it fully, another message arrived from an unknown number. "You're not the only one who wants revenge. Use it wisely." It didn't take long to guess that the mysterious ally was one of Logan's disgruntled business partners. Someone who had fallen out of favor when Logan started consolidating power. Whatever the reason, this recording was the weapon I needed. I couldn't just release it recklessly. I had to wait for the perfect moment, when it would cause the most damage. Logan had arranged a press conference to formally take over Pierce Enterprises as acting CEO. It was the perfect stage for his downfall. I contacted one of Mr. Liu's media connections and arranged for the video to be broadcast live during the event. The plan was simple. Logan would address the public, expressing his intention to rebuild the Pierce legacy. At that moment, the video would play on the large screen behind him, revealing his betrayal to the world. But I wasn't going to just sit back and watch. I needed to be there to see his reaction firsthand. The grand hall was packed with reporters and business associates. Logan stood at the podium, dressed impeccably, his expression solemn yet confident. "Today marks a new chapter for Pierce Enterprises," he began. "My brother's recent struggles have been difficult for all of us, but I am committed to leading this company forward with integrity and stability." Just as he finished that line, the screen behind him flickered and the video started playing. Logan's voice filled the room. "You did well, Emily. Ethan's completely broken now. With him out of the way, the board will support me." Gasps erupted throughout the room. Logan froze, his face draining of color. The video continued. "Your usefulness has ended. Go back to your socialite life. The Pierce family doesn't need you anymore." Logan whipped around, staring at the screen in horror. Reporters began shouting questions, cameras flashed, and the room plunged into chaos. One of the board members, Mr. Chin, stood up, his face red with anger. "Is this true, Logan? Did you conspire to destroy your own brother's reputation?" Logan tried to compose himself. This video is fake. Someone's trying to discredit me. But the damage was done. The authenticity of the video was undeniable. Reporters were already live-tweeting the scandal, and business analysts speculated on the immediate fallout. I remained at the back of the hall watching as Logan's calm facade shattered. He frantically called someone on his phone, but it was clear that his influence was crumbling. By evening, Logan's reputation was in tatters. Investors demanded answers and the board convened to discuss his removal. Emily, too, had become a pariah, caught in the crossfire of their schemes. That night I received a message from Logan. "Meet me at the abandoned pier. Midnight. Come alone." I knew it was a trap. Logan wasn't the type to back down quietly. But I needed to confront him to see the last of his pride burn to ashes. The wind howled through the empty dock and the scent of salt filled the air. Logan was waiting, his face shadowed and his stance tense. "You think you've won, don't you?" he sneered as I approached. I kept a safe distance. "It's over, Logan. The company's pulling back support. You're done." His laugh was hollow. "You don't get it. Even if I fall, I'll take you with me. I know you're behind all this. You played us like puppets." I didn't deny it. "You and Ethan did this to yourselves. Your greed, your need for control, it's your own fault." Logan pulled a knife from his coat, the blade glinting in the dim light. "I could end you right now. No one would know." I squared my shoulders. "Go ahead. Kill me. But it won't change the truth. The world knows what you did. You'll be nothing more than a disgraced heir with blood on his hands." He hesitated, his grip on the knife loosening. Desperation flickered across his face. "Why? Why did you do this?" I took a step closer. "Because you destroyed me in my past life. You and Ethan both. You crushed my spirit, made me believe I was nothing. This time I'm taking back my life." His eyes widened. "Past life? You're insane." I just smiled. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just smarter than you." At that moment, police sirens blared in the distance. I had called them before coming here, knowing Logan would try something desperate. His face contorted with rage as he realized he'd been outmaneuvered once again. "You'll pay for this," he roared as officers approached, guns drawn. He dropped the knife and raised his hands, his shoulders slumping in defeat. As they cuffed him, I whispered one last thing. "Logan, you were never going to win. Your own ambition destroyed you." He didn't respond, just glared at me with pure hatred. With Logan's arrest and Ethan's public meltdown, Pierce Enterprises filed for bankruptcy within a week. The board ousted both brothers and a new CEO was appointed to rebuild from the ruins. Emily vanished from the public eye, her reputation forever stained. Ethan remained in a clinic, his mind too shattered to face the world. I stood on the rooftop of the martial arts school watching the sun rise. The world was quiet and for the first time in years I felt at peace. The Pierce family was no longer a threat and I had finally reclaimed my life. The game was over. I had won. The end.